McKinsey, Argentina. With an area of 2.8 million square kilometers, Argentina is the 8th largest country in the world. Argentina is home to a population of 43 million people, heavily concentrated in Buenos Aires and its suburbs. With a total GDP of $628 billion and a GDP per capita of $12,500, Argentina is the third largest Latin American economy and the second country in terms of GDP per capita. It is well known that Argentina is rich in natural resources. But exactly how relevant are the sectors grouped in global energy and materials, GEM, for the Argentine economy? The sum of oil and gas, electric power and natural gas, basic materials, chemicals, and agriculture represent close to 25% of the country's GDP and more than 50% of current exports and expected capital investments in the next 10 years. Accordingly, since 2016, GEM has become the most important practice for the Buenos Aires office, accounting for 61% of its activity in the last 12 months. Oil and gas. With a crude production of 567,000 barrels per day and gas production of 607,000 barrels of crude oil equivalent per day, Argentina remains one of the most important hydrocarbon producers in the region. More than 90% of Argentina's production is onshore and concentrated in 5 main basins. Argentina has 9 refineries, comprising a total refining capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. The output from these refineries, complemented with imports, is marketed in more than 4,200 gas stations spread out all over the country. YPF is the dominant actor in the sector, joined by other important players such as Shell, Total, Pan American Energy, Plus Petrol, Petrobras, Sinopec, and many smaller producers, marketers, and service providers. Even though Argentina has recently seen a decrease in the oil and gas production, which transformed it into a net energy importer, the country is currently taking steps to recover its energy trade balance. The main bet towards recovering this balance is unconventional oil and gas, and in Argentina, unconventionals have a name, Vaca Muerta. The resources held in Vaca Muerta transformed Argentina in the second biggest unconventional gas reserve in the world, and the 4th largest unconventional oil source, only behind giants like China, Russia, and the United States. Given a proper external and internal context, Vaca Muerta could unlock investments of between $5 to $10 billion per year in the next 10 years and give Argentina once again a surplus in its energy trade balance. Electric power and natural gas. Argentina is Latin America's first country in terms of electricity intensity, as electricity is nowadays virtually available for 100% of the population. Argentina has over 25,000 megawatts of total available installed capacity, which allow a total yearly production of 130 gigawatts hour. Argentina's energy matrix is fundamentally thermal or driven by fossil fuels, mainly natural gas. Hydropower is the secondary source, complemented by nuclear and renewables. All the electricity generated is transported throughout the country by means of an interconnected system composed of 14,760 kilometers of high-voltage lines and ultimately distributed to an array of more than 13.5 million users. Despite having been a first mover in terms of sector deregulation, Argentina's recent regulatory inconsistencies generated a freeze in investments, which ultimately left the country with old generation assets and distribution networks with quality of service indicators well below peers in the region. As power demand is expected to grow 4% annually, Argentina already began its tendering process for 20 gigawatts of additional electric power capacity to be completed until 2025, out of which close to 50% will be renewable. Also, the country has recently normalized the electricity distribution sector by setting sustainable tariffs for operators. In this encouraging context, the main players in the sector, both local and international, are updating their investment plans to capture the opportunities generated by the new regulatory framework. basic materials. Even though the country is a relevant player in the mining industry, holding landmarks like being 10th global silver producer or 20th global copper producer, 5th in LATAM, Argentina's mining sector is still a story of unrealized potential. Argentina has the potential to become a top 10 player in mining given its uncovered resources. For example, increasing 8 times its current copper production or fully developing its lithium reserves, which are 4th largest in the world. As of present, there are more than 30 new advanced projects with a need of $30 billion in capex spread across all mining provinces in Argentina. In terms of resource type, Argentina's main opportunities are copper, gold and silver, lithium, and potassium. Biggest projects are related to copper and gold. For example, Los Azules, José María and Pachón in San Juan, Taca Taca in Salta, and Agua Rica in Catamarca. Yet, this is only 3% of the total potential. Given the right context, there are more than 400 additional sites with potential in different development stages which could give Argentina a prominent role in the mining industry. Chemicals and agriculture. Argentina's agricultural potential is globally known. With 53% of arable land, or 30 million hectares, Argentina is among the first 10 countries in terms of area capable of agricultural development and the world leader in per capita food production. The fertile pampas produce today food for 450 million people, or 10 times Argentina's population. It is the first exporter of oil and soybean meal, 3rd largest corn and 4th largest sunflower exporter, 5th largest dairy products exporter. Despite its current performance and high productivity, in a full potential scenario, agricultural production could increase by 40% in 10 years, whereas animal protein production could increase by 50%. In order to unlock that potential, Argentina's government has removed some bottlenecks to expand production. These included the elimination of export taxes, quotas, price controls and restrictions to dividend repatriation, and also an ambitious investment plan focused on basic infrastructure and irrigation. All these elements are attracting new entrants in the sector and reinforcing the interest for local and international players already present in Argentina. Argentina has recently gone through many upheavals that have hindered its growth potential. With the sea change, the country faces a very favorable period with a lot of opportunities to explore, where GEM will play a key role.